κορυφαίο live στοίχημα. Μεγάλη ποικιλία σε στοιχηματικές αγορές. Υπευθυνότητα και ασφάλεια. Αξιόπιστο cash out. Τεράστια γκάμα προσφορών. Fonbet. Κατεβάστε την εφαρμογή για iOS και Android.
Cyprus football, the passion, the thrill, the passion, the thrill. The stadiums roar, you can feel the chill. You can feel the chill. The teams are ready, the battles will start. The battles will start with dreams of glory. They'll play with heart.
Kalimera, Kalisfera, what time you're watching. This is Mappa, you know who I am, and you know who my guest is. To be honest, when I have my friends on podcasts, I try to deliver the best introduction possible, but I don't think I can do it with Punch, because you're talking about a guy here that's scored a goal in an FA Cup final. He's played in Cyprus for two very big clubs, and now he's embarking on an incredible coaching career, which I'm so proud of him, man. Punch, thank you for coming on, man. Honestly, I'm sorry if it wasn't a great intro. I just struggle with things like this sometimes. I'm, emotionally unhinged, I guess.
Nah. I appreciate coming on. Appreciate inviting me on. But I think it's been a long time coming, for sure.
Yeah, last time we did a pod, I think you just left Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. I think you just left Buffalo.
If I just left Buffalo, I think it was not in COVID.
Was it during? It must.
Either during COVID or when I just left Pafo, I think. I'm not too sure. I can't remember.
Yeah, one of the two. Well, you're here now, bro. And thanks for doing this. And first of all, congratulations on winning promotion. The first question I need to ask you, not how do you feel, whatever, but what's the transition from player to coach been like for you?
Oh, big transition. I think in the first job, you're still in that. Because I stopped in the March and I went into coaching straight away in the July. You're still in that mode of like that player sort of mentality. And I think it's been really good to mold me in the last, the few jobs into what I really want, how I want to go about things, infrastructure, all that stuff. And it's helped me a lot. And I cannot, I'll be honest, all the clubs, the players, the IAs, the Napa obviously, and Akritas, like I cannot thank Cyprus enough as a country and all those staff members, or should I say the presidents of those clubs for giving me jobs, because these things wouldn't have been possible in my own home country. And I'm in a country that's as a foreigner, and these guys have embraced me like family, and I'm really appreciative of that.
It's interesting you say you wouldn't have had those opportunities in the UK, because there are many coaches within the UK that feel they're not getting their own opportunities, so they're going abroad and trying their best to work up the ladder. Would that be the main bit of advice you'd give to those people? Try your luck abroad?
Yeah, I think, look, it's like Cyprus coaches. They want to leave Cyprus. They want to leave and go to another level. It's normal, right? But the problem with generally English people, the way we're perceived, is they never go abroad. But I think they don't go abroad from early in their playing careers. Because predominantly a lot of coaches that was players then, there was players before. They don't go abroad to go and see what it's like. We're sort of stuck in a way, and I can't thank, firstly, Paphos enough for bringing me to Cyprus, because it opened my eyes in many things, made me see different cultures, different people, and I cannot thank this country enough, honestly.
You know, it's easy for me to say Cyprus is different from everywhere else. I think, look, as someone that doesn't live in Cyprus but sees how the football landscape is out there, it is a different universe. But how have you been able to adapt to the managerial side of things in Cyprus? Because I don't think things are much different in the UK in terms of not want to say the mentality, but how they want to evolve. But I'm sure there are more obstacles in Cyprus.
Yeah, there's more obstacles. Look, the reality is I'm going into a job last year in the first division. There was 18 coaches got sacked. There was 18 different.
Yep.
So that tells you how volatile it is. I do think in general, take away this sacking coaches, I think the standard of the football's raised. The intensity has gone up. The quality of players has gone up, and the competitiveness is there. And that tells you alone in the last 5 seasons, there's 5 different teams that's won the league. But for me, I think Cyprus needs to sort of and I'm not just saying it because I'm a coach, they need to look at the longevity. There's no long-term sustainable things in Cyprus apart from the real top teams. Now, you can still have a sustainable team that's finishing 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, consistently around that. And even teams that come up and go down, they don't have a base to be able to come back up. There's no clear infrastructure. It's also, I worked in the second division. Loved my time there, love it. Brings me back to old school football, old school scenarios, pitches, many different things, but there's no base for players there. And you look at what would be the neighbor country of Greece, and I see the second division in Greece where they're at, and you look at Cyprus where it's at. And I think they need to raise that level from all standards.
Is that because of finances, though, or other mitigating factors?
Look, we say finances, but most teams in the second division last year had a budget of between 300 and 600,000 in the second division. I would say a few teams up and down less. But if they start to put minimum wage on it for everyone, everyone's in the same boat. If they start to put a limit on it, everyone's in the same boat. And it's also the other thing what I know hinders Cyprus is fact there's not enough stadiums. Because even in the first division, you have that. People don't have enough own training facilities, stadiums. How do you, in the long term, develop players? At the moment, you're only talking the big teams can develop players for them to grow up from a young age. Then you go into the second division, as example, they don't have a pitch to play on. They don't have a training facility. So there is a lot of work to still do, but I believe it's still growing.
I agree with you, mate. Although I'll tell you something, based on my experience recently with two clubs, one first division, one second division, all it boils down to them is money. And I don't mean, oh, they're greedy. I mean, there's always, oh, we can't do this because we don't have the money. We can't do this because we need money to come in to save the club. And it's almost as if it's just survival mode. Now, I don't know whether there's a deeper lying factor to that, whether it isn't just survival. It's more, there are people within the club on the board or the Somadia that want to make something out of it. So do you think that they need to completely change their mentality, or is it simply a financial problem that's stopping them from elevating themselves?
No, I think the financial plays a part for sure. But I think is they don't have this mindset is, look, for me, why go and spend 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, I don't know, in your first division, in the second division, or to fight to go and get promotion, but then you go into the first division and you're not ready. Like, look at what Aaron Dipri done for me is a miracle. What their coach done there is an absolute miracle with all the stuff around and how they was in the first division. Like, you're in a professional level playing against teams that are playing in Europe. You need to try and be professional. And the professionalism starts from around the infrastructure. And for me, the big problem, what I noticed with Cyprus is there's just not enough pitches. And when I say enough pitches, there's not enough quality pitches. That's the issue.
Yeah, because when you were coaching at Ayers, you were playing at Salamina Stadium, right?
Yeah. There was 3 teams playing there then.
Not Karimidis.
Ayers.
Othellos.
Ayers, Othellos, and Salamina.
That's right. That's right. And how did the pitch affect your style?
Yeah, do you know, let's get it right. I was there 7 games. I knew, like, fair play to Nicholas Sikos for giving me the chance there. I knew that job was a tricky one to take, but you're young, you're enthusiastic, you want to go, you want to take it. And of course, I can't complain about the pitch. You don't get results, that's it. And the situation changes. But to have 3 first division teams playing in the same pitch, that tells you where we're at. And that's not good enough for the level we're in. We can't be playing with teams of the Paphos, the Arises, the Applewells, the Ammonias, Ajax, these Pollens, these caliber of teams, big teams that are fighting consistently to go in the European places. And then they've got to go and play on a pitch that 3 teams are playing on. Like the level comparison of difference is so far of a big gap. It's like Cyprus really generally is in the first division it's almost in 3 leagues. Now, we say that in the Premier League, we do. Because unfortunately, money is money. But you look at Man City's season this season, where they are, one of the biggest budgets. You look at Chelsea, Aston Villa, what they've done, come from behind. Nottingham Forest. There's teams that cause surprises just by the right infrastructure, the right situations, and they go up. Like, it's consistently been, for probably since I've been in Cyprus, the same teams in Europe. I've never seen anyone in. Like, so okay, all right, winning the league is something different, but why is there no other teams that's trying to get into the Europe situation to break that mold? Because they don't have the correct infrastructure to do it. How do you tell a guy that's played in Spain, Portugal, or in a decent level to come to Cyprus? He don't have a training pitch, or he goes to the training pitch and there's holes in the pitch, and he don't have goals, or he don't have all these basic necessities to be a football player.
Yeah. The thing is, mate, I'll be honest with you, from what I've seen, especially, and I hate to do this, from my club, the one that I follow in Cyprus, it seems that the ambition to win trophies has, I'd say, disappeared, because knowing that getting fourth place or third place can get you into the Conference League, and if you get in the group stages, that brings you in, what, 7 or 8 million. There is no incentive to want to win the title, because realistically, they don't feel that they can get into the Champions League. Whereas you've got your old club, Buffer, who we know have got the financial capabilities, but they also have, as you said, a structure. So I just think it's an overall mentality problem, because if one of the biggest clubs in Cyprus thinks that way, what does it tell you about the other clubs, like your, I don't know, I don't want to just throw a club under the bus. Let's say Spartakos, for example. It's just,
Yeah, look, for me, as the ambition, some teams do see it as just getting into Europe. You can see that from the outset, but I think there is other teams that are willing to try to fight for championship. It's like, I don't know too tough to how the things work inside, but like, look, they sacked their coach early on. I don't know what happened behind the scenes or anything like that, but the guy that's there as a coach now, he's actually come there to be a sport director, and both times he's ended up as the manager. And there comes a point where you need to say to yourself, we need to support this manager, or we need to bring a coach that we're going to support and give him the chance. Because the only one thing I don't generally like about the Cyprus mentality, that football's not over till it's over. And that's my biggest thing that I carried as a player, I carried as a coach, is people say, we're 7 points out, we're 8 points out, we're 9 points out, or we're 10 points out. It's not over till it's over, because the things change. And if you don't have this mentality, and you almost, basically, for me, the moment you say, we're 8 points out, we're 9 points out, the coach needs to go. As a club, you've given up already. That's me.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we always say that they're impatient, but I don't think it's just impatience. I just think it's a lack of ideas. Well, they start off with a strategy, and then when one thing goes wrong, rather than saying we're going to make tweaks, we're just going to rip it up and start again.
Yeah, it's the wrong mentality, because look, I played in Southampton, and where that club was going from League One, you knew it was going to the Premier League. Like Crystal Palace, when I went to, it was not ready for the Premier League. It would just come out of nowhere. They didn't plan to be like, right, we're going to build the team to go into the Premier League. It just come from nowhere. But what Steve Parish done, he didn't go in the Premier League and say, right, we've got 100 million, I'm going to spend 120 million to stay in the Premier League, and if it don't work, he's built it year by year by year. And it took Crystal Palace, people say, it took ages. It took them this long to stabilise the club, the infrastructure, the academy they've got, all of this stuff. And now they've won an FA Cup. If that was in Cyprus, they would have been volatile. Maybe they'd probably seen, in that period of time, 25, 26 different coaches, because the success is not there. I understand it's a small island, people's got history of football clubs, but football is like, the success it's like a house. You build the base and you build up. Some take quicker, some take longer. And the best base you got, maybe this is the quickest you can excel, and depending on the finances.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, let's talk about your career after Ayers, because you said you lasted 7 games, and when you left the club, I thought, you know what, it's not going to be like another coach where he's going to struggle to find work. I knew you had something. And again, not just saying it's because you're a mate, but your mentality is completely different to what they're used to, but also you've got that drive, you've got that ambition, and the culture, and the mentality out there. So it wasn't going to be difficult for you to work around it. So you went to Ayanaba, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got us 3 million views on Twitter. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Appreciate it. And that didn't last long, even though you won every game, I think. You won every game?
Yeah, only 2 games I was there, won every game.
It's every game. It's every game. And then you end up at Akritas. So first of all, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I assume the move to Akritas was more of a personal choice than anything?
No, look. So before I went to Napa, I sat with the director there, Finassis, lovely guy, still got a good relationship with him. I sat with him twice. First time I was like, not for me. I tell that the things of how I wanted to work and what they were saying, maybe it couldn't combine. And then still trying to convince me. And then I just said to myself, you know what, if this guy calls me again, I'm going to go. So I went, and when I got in the building, I saw it's a fantastic place. Facilities, own stadium. Okay, the pitch is not great and stuff, but many pitches they've got at the training ground and many good young players. I said, wow, something I like, because the young players at Napa, they're good. They've got a good academy. And then I started to see how the dynamics was working with the young players, the infrastructure, people trying to get involved in the first team, trying to give their opinion on this and that. And I was like, this ain't what I signed up to. And I swear, after the first week, I saw this. So I was like, honestly, I said, what have I done? That was my honest answer. And then Akritas called. And it was always a club that I've got affiliation. Okay, yes, you can say it's near home. But if the things was good in Napa, I wouldn't have left. Because I believe it's a fantastic situation for any coach to pick up. If they can get the working dynamics behind the scenes correct, that club can go like this. That can overtake many teams in the first division. It's about getting the stuff behind the scenes correct. Mm-hmm. Because they have the basis that nobody else most teams in Cyprus don't have. So then the Akritas thing was like, look, it was always there. It's okay, it's close to home, but I looked at it and right, how they're working behind the scenes is professional to be ready to go to the first division. Mm-hmm. To myself, right, yeah, I've got to take this chance. They paid the money to Napa, and then I went to Akritas, and it's almost like, even when I went to Akritas, there were so many things to change. So many things.
What would you say was the biggest challenge when you walked through the door?
Just because as a coach, always when you go in the middle of the season, it's difficult to input your ideas. It takes longer than pre-season.
Right.
Just the mentality and the will to work. And never give up, because look, when I come in, we was 9 points adrift from Ipsinas.
Yep.
And I players after 3 games. And then before we played 2 games before we played Ipsinas, when we played Eyes, I showed them the table again. And I said, football's doesn't finish like that. So you need to see where you've come from to where you've gone. Mm-hmm. About pushing them day in, day out. And to be fair, the players give me everything. Everything. I cannot say that they didn't give me every ounce of what they got. And I'm just grateful for them, because without them, we wouldn't have got promoted.
You've got a very, very interesting squad. I know you've got a young goalkeeper. I think he's 20 years old. If I'm not mistaken, he was actually fined for swearing at his mates in the stands. I think that was before you went to the club, I think. But look, I was following your club, obviously not just because you were there, but I mean, I'm interested in the league itself. And it's almost as if they played with a completely different belief process, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know, it's almost as if you've imprinted your ideology into them, and they've believed you and they've listened to you. Now, I don't think it's just because this is Jason Puncheon that's played in the big Premier League and that knows the league. I think this is Jason Puncheon, the player that's gone to coaching, that has adapted his system to the league, has adapted his philosophy and ideology to the league. So in terms of your playing style, bro, did you do anything different each game? Was the message different in each game, or was it just like, right, this is how we're going to go for it? You know, let's just go with this style, go with this method, go with this ideology, and take it from there.
So look, when I first went in there, you have a method, you have an idea, you fit the players that fit that profile, and you work around that, or you completely adapt to what you have. It depends on if your idea work and how it can work. That completely changed for me after January, because we lost, like, it's a fact, we lost one of the best wingers, probably the best winger in the league for me. So it completely changed. So after being there from November till that January, middle of January, it's almost your 6th week, I have to flip up the whole way around how I play.
Right.
and change the dynamics. It's still the same base, but it's a different way that we're playing. And honestly, still, it's a force it, because I knew that's where our strength was when we got it right. Our strength was not in another area. Our strength was in the middle of the pitch. So we had to use that to our advantage the best we can, and we had to enforce that. And it takes time. You lose the ball. People saying, "Oh, we keep losing the ball. We keep doing that." People outside looking at it, but I know as a coach what I'm enforcing, because I know this is a strength we have. We don't have another strength to do it another way. So that taught me to adapt massively to what we have, and honestly, it was a great learning curve, because the second division is just so special. And like I said to you, as a real true football person, you understand it. Take away the refereeing incidents and stuff like that. But in terms of 1 week, you can turn up and you're playing in a lovely stadium that's like a first division. Another week, you're turning up and playing in Irimni, example. And that's his strength. Fair play to Yasos and his team is his strength. Big physical players, a lot of transitions, a lot of second balls, small pitch, can't play football. But that is, I don't complain about it. I love it, because that is football. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask you next, really, in terms of the playing styles in the second division, because I remember when Olympia got promoted, a lot of their goals came from set pieces, because they've got big players, or they had really tall players over 6 foot. I think 7 or 8 of them were over 6 foot. So I think the goal against Olympia on the final day was from a set piece, if I'm not mistaken. So is it mostly about overcoming that physicality and the power? Or is it just, well, you can play a certain style, but you need to be very cautious of that physicality and strength?
It's more apparent in the second division, because the pitches are not as in good condition. So it does more of a part. But ultimately, for me, in any football, wherever you play, if you don't win your one-on-one against duel, or your physicality against somebody, it doesn't matter what tactics the coach puts, you won't win the game. Right. It's just in any level. But for sure, in the second division, it's more apparent. I think it is, like, for me, the team that played the best football and probably had the best team for me was Olympiacos. Very good team. Okay. Very good, very dynamic. Costis came in the similar time as me. I think maybe 1 game before me or 2 before me or something like that in Olympiacos. And how he changed that dynamic into his way, put those players in, was fantastic job, what he done. Fantastic.
3-4-2-1, yeah. Trying the Simeone way, yeah. Look, they've got promoted so that with you guys. So talk to me about the run-in then, with you guys, getting promoted and everything. What was that whole experience like from the moment you took charge to getting them promoted? How can you evaluate that if you were to break it down or summarize it?
For me, the best part was the last 6 games. I love it. That's when the real pressure comes and it kicks in. It sets home that is like you're nearly there, and that's what I love the most, because as a player, I loved pressure. As a coach now, I like pressure. I love it, because without the pressure, like, how do you elevate to try and go to the next level, or to get promoted and stuff like that? And of course, we're coaches, we still make mistakes. Yeah. I genuinely sit here as a coach and think I made mistakes that maybe we could have won the championship. Do you understand what I mean? So I understand
is that the perfectionist in you, or the elite footballer inside you saying these things, or just like,
as coaches, is we all make mistakes. Footballers make mistakes, players make mistakes. If you can't sit here and say you make mistakes and you don't want to improve them, you're not going to improve. Nobody knows everything. Nobody. Anybody that tells you they knows everything is a liar, because it's impossible. Because football teaches you something new every single day. Every single day. It's just a job that we live in.
Understandable. Because I remember you went through, I think you were winning you won 5 games in a row, and then you played Ayers and lost that one, I think. And it was like, okay, well, you're still with the chance of the promotion. Then you won 2 games in a row and then lost to Olympiacos. I think you already got promoted to the Olympiacos, wasn't it?
In that game. So it's a story, right? So look, all my staff, I didn't tell my players this, but I said to my staff after January, I said, look, up, down, you're winning games. I think we drew, we won, lost the game. We lost to Anisios, actually. It changed the things, right? And I said to them, look, I said, I'll be honest with you. I said, this championship is not going to be sealed until someone goes and wins 5 games in a row. Show you that. I said, no football. I can just see how this is. There's some things you can, I'm not saying I know all, but there's some things I can envisage. For somebody to take hold of this league, to be like, right, it's theirs, and take it, someone needs to win 5 games in a row. We was just a little We was just a little bit behind where we probably needed to win 6, 7 in a row to take the championship. But winning those 5 games in a row, I knew that with my team, we was promoted.
Right.
It was not finished yet, but in the fixtures, what you've got, it doesn't matter who you play, with the mentality that we have going against the other teams, you're playing against them a second time. I believe in my players so much. I know they'll go and take those points when they need it.
Okay. So talk to me about the promotion celebrations.
So look, Olympiacos away was a bittersweet moment because we lost, and everyone knows that I hate losing. That's just football. Bit of a weird situation, like we lost and then we obviously celebrated after. But the celebration after the Asil game, again, another bittersweet moment. You lost. But it was like, it's so hard that people say, we must remain professional, must do this. You can push the players and as much as you want. Sometimes the psychology is just like not there. And for me, it's only the real elite that maybe have that. And that's why they play consistently at the high level. But, you know, for me, look, the last game we had a young boy called Yorgos Karaman. He's 17, come in and made his debut. It's been injured all season. Come in and showed himself in the game, you know. So for me, that was the most special moment of the last game and the celebration afterwards. Okay.
And the final question when it comes to Akritas, next season, big season. I'm sure you have many targets. Are you on course to begin planning for those targets? Are you in the right frame at the moment?
Yeah, we're in the right frame of working of what we want to achieve and what we want to target. It's just about building what we say the majority of the squad by the time the pre-season starts, which we're on course to achieve that target. So look, still, for me, you know, the first division it's a great league, and it's a fantastic chance for the football club and myself this season and the players.
Excellent. Well, I wish you luck for next season, man, because it's a very competitive league, and you're seeing certain clubs bringing in investors, certain clubs being financially ruined. But I think what we learned from this season just gone is when you see the likes of Paralimni taking it right down to the last game, it's anyone's to survive. It's anyone's to challenge, anyone's to get into European places. That's why I think what differentiates the Cyprus League from most leagues out there, you know what you're going to get, but you don't at the same time.
Yeah, because look, even the Paphos, it went down to the last 3 games, right, to win the championship. Paralimni, Motisa, Aradipio, I was watching on my phone. Everyone's watching on the phone. It's the last minute. It's like, it reminded me of the Premier League. You're looking like, what's the score? It's this, it's that.
Yeah.
That's what football's about. If you don't have these moments in football like this consistently, it's why people go to watch the games. It's why people watch the games on TV. It's why people speak about it. That's what it's about. It's not about these traditional Cyprus things that is guaranteed they will stay up here, it's guaranteed they will stay up here, it's guaranteed they'll do that. It's not. This is what we have a saying in England. This is what put bums on seats. That for me, that and players that contribute with the ball. That's what brings fans to the stadium. It's fact.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Buffer. They won the title. You seeing it? How did you feel as a former Buffer player? Overjoyment for them. I'm really happy. I think it's years and years of hard work, of them taking understanding about the foundations, because when I went to Paphos, there was no foundations to be a team to fight for championship, to fight for Europe. And they slowly started to gather that and understand it, and they built the foundations and have done well. Like Paphos now really is a team that should be fighting for the championship every season and fighting for the Europe places because of the infrastructure they have. They can acquire those big players now, in more in their prime as well. Not the players that's a little bit older. They can take the players in their prime from the different markets because they have this infrastructure there in place. Yeah, and I think there's an overall fear in Cyprus that they will go on to dominate like Abuel and Amone have done over the years, but I don't think that is purely Buffer's fault. I think the fault is also on the clubs that should be competing against them. Look, Paphos has the power with their infrastructure. They're steps ahead. Aris also. Both of them have obviously the financial gain, but the other clubs have a good base of infrastructure to improve that, and then to prove their way of going about their work and make it competitive. Like nobody, I don't envision any of those teams lying down and saying, "Here, Paphos, you can take the league." It's not going to happen. But for sure,
Paphos and Aris will be leaps and bounds ahead.
Absolutely. And on a final note, bro, Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup. Come on, talk to me.
And it's just, that's what I said. I said it's been a crazy few weeks for me getting promoted. Paphos win the league and then Palace win the FA Cup. It's just, well, it was icing on the cake, as they say. Fantastic moment. I was watching it in the bar here, and I know Palace fans, and I said saying to them, can you hear them fans? Like, if you was watching it on the TV, you understand you can only hear Palace fans from the first minute to the last minute. Like, and the reason people think I always say it just because it's Palace fans, but the best atmosphere you hear in Cyprus is in Papadopoulos or RCB. It's just Salamina gives you a good atmosphere as well when they get rocking, because they've got that traditional history. When you're playing those games with those bigger teams, the atmosphere's there. But please put me a game with those set of fans and Palace fans, please.
Yeah, it's something different. I think Selhurst Park is a fortress now, and European football is coming to South London. There you go.
Look, I hope Paphos go in the Champions League places. But I generally do hope that one of the Cyprus teams gets drawn in the Europa League with Crystal Palace.
Can you imagine if it's Ari or Aik?
Yeah, I hope, just so that when they come here, I can be there.
Superb. Well, Punch, look, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you jumping on the pod. And good luck for next season. We'll still be in contact, obviously. And obviously, this is Mappa is going to be giving you guys more exposure next season. Come on. This is what we do.
Of course.
I've been doing it throughout the season, yeah, especially on BFBS. Don't forget that. On the British Forces Radio, I've been talking about you every week. Don't worry.
Thanks for that, brother. This is Mappa as the boss.
Come on, I'm going to put that in the side. Do you know what? In the new intro for next season, I'm putting that at the beginning. This is Mappa as the boss. Well, boys and girls, that was Jason Puncheon. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.